Let's go back to 1999. Animation, especially adult animation, is big. After some initial misguided attempts to replicate The Simpsons' massive success in the early 90s, adult animated sitcoms are finally truly getting off the ground. 1997 saw the premiere of South Park, which of course was hugely successful, and in 1999 we see the premiere of both Futurama and Family Guy on Fox, which, while initially not quite so successful, will eventually develop devoted fan bases. At the same time, we're in the middle of the dot-com bubble. The internet is exploding, and the entertainment industry is trying to buy in, while, simultaneously, tech companies are trying to break into the entertainment industry. Animation itself is not excluded from this fervor. In 1997, the Future Splash animation software, which had been launched the previous year and used to create animations for such websites as the official Simpsons website, was purchased by Macromedia and renamed to Flash. Flash's use expanded rapidly. That same year, the creator of Ren and Stimpy and normal, uncontroversial guy, John Kricfalusi, launched the Flash animated web-exclusive cartoon, The Goddamn George Liquor Program. And later in 1999, the company Macromedia itself launched a website devoted to Flash and its sister software, Shockwave, which, I'll be honest, I still don't know what the difference between the two are, called shockwave.com. The website focused on distributing original entertainment on the web, and to the end of expanding its audience, Macromedia even made deals with South Park superstars Matt Stone and Trey Parker, as well as other influential Hollywood figures such as Tim Burton, David Lynch, and even James L. Brooks, one of the creators of The Simpsons, to produce original animation for the site. Clearly, web shows and web animation are the future. It was into this milieu that literary agent Steve Stanford, alongside Simpsons writers Jonathan Collier and Rob Lezebnik, and X-Files writer-producer Howard Gordon, founded the website in 1999. According to the founders, or at least Steve Stanford, clearly the business brain of the group who was most frequently interviewed, the reason behind pivoting to internet entertainment was creative freedom. The word in television is that comedy is dead, so everyone wants to do reality and news shows. Our creators want to reach an audience without filters. We give them complete creative freedom, said Stanford. The other benefit to producing web shows as opposed to television is, of course, that it's way cheaper. And from a business standpoint, it's about bringing new efficiency to the creation of high-quality intellectual property, both offline and online. If you look at what a traditional broadcast network spends to develop a new show, every year they spend over $100 million to come up with typically 5 or 6 new shows, one of which makes it to next year, so it's highly inefficient. That's also the reason behind going for animation. It's much cheaper to make flash animations than entire live-action productions which require more crew, actors, etc. The site aimed both to provide original online entertainment as an alternative to traditional media, but also to potentially sell their shows back to networks and cable channels. Basically, every web show is meant to serve as a kind of speculative pilot for a potential full network sitcom. Stanford was initially, I may say, over-optimistic about this, claiming 80% of the shows on the site would somehow make their way onto network or cable TV. The website officially launched on June 7, 2000, with its premiere shows being Zombie College, created by Simpsons Futurama writer Eric Kaplan, and Hard Drinkin' Lincoln, created by former Simpsons showrunner and co-creator of The Critic, Mike Reiss. These were followed throughout June and July by the premieres of Garbage Island, Heaven by Simpsons writer Kevin Curran, Superhero Roommate by future Simpsons showrunner Matt Selman, and one of Icebox's loudest offerings, Mr. Wong, created by South Park writers Pam Brady and Cal McCulloch. The series, which centered on an elderly Chinese butler with buck teeth and Simpsons-shade yellow skin, voiced with a stereotypical accent by co-creator McCulloch, immediately drew controversy and criticism from Asian American advocacy groups. Of course, in South Park's heyday, offensive humor, especially at this level, was eaten up by audiences, and this controversy surely only gave Icebox much desired further publicity. And hey, Roger Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up on the Alt.Asian Movies news group. Icebox continued to expand and make deals throughout the second half of the year 2000. In August, they premiered another web show from the ever-unproblematic John Kay, called Weekend Pussy Hunt, and that same month they made their first successful leap to television, when they signed a deal with Showtime to air their animated sci-fi series Starship Regulars on the channel, in addition to developing a full live-action series based on it to premiere in June 2001. While the premise of a irreverent Star Trek parody was not especially original, even in 2000, this show was quite apparently one of Icebox's more impressive offerings. The animation looked nearly TV quality, at least when compared to a lot of other Flash cartoons, likely aided by the involvement of Wes Archer, who Simpsons fans will surely know as something of a virtuosic animation director. According to outlets such as Variety, this deal made Icebox the first company to successfully sell an online show to a traditional media-focused company, though they are almost immediately followed by others such as Mediatrip.com, who sold their show Lil Pimp to film distributor Revolution Studios not a week after the Starship Regulars deal was announced. This feature-length Lil Pimp film actually did eventually come to fruition, by the way, unlike the Starship Regulars live-action series. On Icebox's success over other internet media startups, Stanford said, "There's really no magic to what we're doing. What's differentiated us from the beginning is that we focused on talent and great storytellers, and we've put together a great team that knows what they're doing." As summer turned to fall going into winter, Icebox seemed to have a bright future ahead of it. The site continues to debut new shows such as Larry David's standalone short, The Paula Principle, a live-action horror series, The Hanged Man, and most notably Simpsons critic showrunner Mike Reiss's LGBT sitcom Queer Duck.
Queer duck, he's intellectual. Queer duck, he's homosexual.
Which, while not nearly as edgy or offensive as Mr. Wong, still seemed to rely on stereotypes and thus generated publicity partially through controversy. In fact, Icebox seemed to truly have learnt its lesson from Mr. Wong's success, as they went out of their way to promote shows such as Queer Duck and a violent chipmunk cartoon which I can't find, but sounds like Happy Tree Friends, but mustn't be unless Mondo licensed the show to Icebox for a time, but I can't find any evidence for that, through faux outrage on newsgroups. In general, Icebox did a lot of spam marketing on newsgroups. Although talks to have Mr. Wong be acquired by Artisan Entertainment did not result in any deal, as the year 2000 drew to a close, Icebox seemed to be holding strong compared to other short-lived entertainment sites. In November, Icebox was featured in the plot of an episode of the drama TV series Felicity.
I decided to try and sell an idea to the Icebox. It's that internet cartoon site. You ever see it?
No.
Oh.
Co-creator of which, J.J. Abrams, was at one point reported to be making a deal to have his own Icebox show. And Icebox also managed to secure its second deal to transition one of its shows to traditional media. Fox picked up their flagship show, Zombie College, to be turned into a live-action pilot. Simultaneous to this announcement, Icebox announced they were getting sued and laying off half their staff. A week later, Fox quietly reneged on their dealings with Icebox, which were apparently never finalized. In January of 2001, there were more layoffs, and in February, Icebox announced they were shutting down entirely. It seems that, despite excelling and publicizing themselves and creating the appearance of success and vitality, Icebox couldn't manage to crack the code for turning a profit in the web entertainment business. Stanford was still positive about what the company tried to do and accomplished. "We had a lot of fun with it," he said. "We still believe in our original mission, which was to bring better content to the web." Stanford hasn't decided what he will be doing next, and said he would start thinking about that next week. So ended the tale of Icebox, terminated abruptly, unceremoniously, as so many .com startups would in the early 2000s. The TV writers recruited returned to TV, and their short-lived success was quickly forgotten. Unless the dead speak. Only 2 months after Icebox's shutdown, it was relaunched. The creatives who originally founded the site, Jonathan Collier, Howard Gordon, and Rob Lezebnik, purchased the assets of the company, along with former executives Scott Rupp and Tal Vigderson on the business end. Notably, original founder Steve Stanford did not return. Initially, the founders sought to license out their already produced shows, which they succeeded in by quickly signing a distribution deal with Mondo Media, known for the very successful Happy Tree Friends web series. However, unfortunately, Icebox could not deal out the rights to what had become their most popular and successful program, Queer Duck, as it had been sold outright to Showtime sometime prior to Icebox's original shutdown. Icebox's relaunch was not thunderous. In fact, it seemed that the new Icebox was mainly concerned in recuperating the costs of its initial production of series via the syndication of said series. However, the new refounders did express a desire to keep Icebox as a platform for writers to produce projects with complete creative freedom outside the studio system, and even to bring back writers who worked on previous programs for the site, so the possibility of new shows was certainly left open. Nevertheless, the new Icebox was much more relaxed than its initial incarnation. Throughout 2001, it made a few more distribution deals, and late in the year they launched a pay-per-view service, charging a shocking 25 cents per webisode, which went over perfectly among web denizens, as moving content behind a paywall always does. God damn you, John K. and Icebox.com. You actually think we, your loyal viewers, would pay to watch your damn cartoons? Get a gripe and get a life. I never knew such a bunch of greedy son of a bitch Canadians in my life. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Icebox.com announced that if you want to watch any of the cartoons on their site, including Goddamn George Liquor and Weekend Pussy Hunt, you now have to pay for the privilege to watch a cartoon on their site, or eventually pay out of your pocket about $20 for a stupid-ass DVD. It will be a cold day in hell before you see $1 from me. Over the next couple of years, Icebox remained in this state. A few new shows were produced, such as Animal Hospital starring Dana Carvey, which may be lost media? Get on it, dorks. But mostly, they coasted on their syndication deal with Mondo to sell existing shorts to networks like Comedy Central. In 2004, they managed to deal with Maverick Entertainment to distribute Mr. Wong on DVD under the National Lampoon Presents brand, bizarrely. And after Showtime dropped Queer Duck in 2003, Icebox managed to buy back the rights, and thereafter, they produced their most ambitious project yet. A feature-length Flash animated film, Queer Duck, the movie.
On July 18th, it's coming out on DVD.
Congratulations, dear boy.
With the voices of Tim Curry, David Duchovny, and Conan O'Brien.
Swear I'm straight.
Queer Duck was perhaps, both in terms of its creation and its response, Icebox's biggest success. It truly utilized the creative freedom Icebox claimed always to support. It was entirely written by one person, Mike Reese, and entirely animated by one person, Seth Feinberg. It was also a cartoon about gay people, made during a time when this was still a hot topic. According to Reese, it was a direct response to both the lack of shows about gay people and a controversy in 2000 regarding radio personality Dr. Laura calling homosexuals degenerates. Likely due to being a show about, and nominally for, gay people, though it's written entirely by a straight man and thus clearly relies mainly on stereotypes, as well as its great designs and animations by animator Seth Feinberg, which take advantage of the simplicities typical of Flash animation of the time, the show saw critical and financial success as well. It was sold to Showtime, who aired the episodes on network TV and even commissioned new episodes. When the show was dropped by Showtime in 2003, even though a batch of previously commissioned episodes were still in production, while it was obviously unfortunate for Feinberg and Reese, it gave Icebox the chance to buy back rights to the Duck. After they had reacquired the rights, Icebox went looking for funding to produce Reese's script for a feature-length film which he'd already written when the show was still being funded by Showtime. In 2005, they found a producer, Paramount, coincidentally another subsidiary with Showtime of media conglomerate Viacom. Like the show, the film was animated in Flash almost entirely by Seth Feinberg, along with some freelancers. The film was produced in under a year, starting production in July 2005 and getting a DVD release in July 2006. While its financial outcomes are unclear to me, the film was a clear critical success, winning praise from outlets such as Variety and Time magazine, whose critics both expressed a desire that the film could have seen a theatrical release rather than going direct to home video. Queer Duck relies on stereotypes, and dated ones at that, so of course it doesn't go over as well today. The film has mixed ratings on Letterboxd, not that Letterboxd matters, and few talk of it at all today, much less with the unabashed praise it saw on its initial release. Still, Queer Duck the movie was a respectable effort for independent animation, and to me, it's clearly Icebox's greatest achievement. After Queer Duck the movie, Icebox maintained a quiet online presence. In 2007, they launched e-cards based on their shows. Remember e-cards?
Let's all give a cheer for Morocco.
Then let's all go out for some cocktails. I was gonna say cocktails.
Yeah, right.
That same year, they also produced some new episodes of Celebrity Webcam, sponsored by the MTV Movie Awards. In 2011, they announced a development deal to make a cartoon series with conservative talking head Glenn Beck. Okay.
The episode was called The 2,000-Year-Old Virgin, and it surrounded Peter Griffin, among others, trying to help Christ lose his virginity. Why not just put him up at the pillar again? Why not just whip him and beat him? Why not just publicly humiliate him? Why not just tear his clothing from him, spit on him, and when he asks for water, we give him vinegar?
I think you could argue this is worse.
Around that same time, the early 2010s, there seemed to be some intention to bring Icebox back, signified by the uploading of a lot of their shorts to an official YouTube channel between 2012 and 2015. This also seems to be when the new Icebox website, iceboxanimation.com, was erected. Still, this seems a dead end for Icebox. The Glenn Beck cartoon never came to fruition, and their YouTube page has been dormant now for an entire decade. Icebox is not without its legacy. Queer Duck and Hard Drinkin' Lincoln creator Mike Reese seems to be genuinely proud of his work with the site. Also, surprisingly, in 2021, Icebox series Poker Night was revived by Fox and Dennis Leary as a series of shorts with the equally apt title, Dogs Playing Poker. 2021, 20 years after Icebox initially shut down, and these shorts are still making an impact. Mr. Wong will probably be long remembered simply for being one of the most shamelessly and intentionally offensive shows ever produced alongside, Minority, but much less funny than Minority. And as for Queer Duck, it will always live on as a show that existed and got a movie for some reason. So what's the lesson to learn from all this? Maybe it's just that the .com bubble produced some shit that's kinda interesting, but not really that notable, or at least not so notable that anybody should write an entire video script about it and record it very poorly and edit it very poorly and upload it for no reason. Who cares? Okay, bye.